Right. So a pleasant good afternoon. It's just 1 minute to 1 p.m. or 1300 hours in the UK anyway. So welcome to the NEBOSH National General Certificate in Occupational Safety and Health. And I guess you all have been the ones or you all have been the batch that have been selected to be our September intake for this particular time frame anyway. The reason I say that is because we do have another September class, but it's not in Trinidad. It's actually in Guyana itself, right? So welcome to the NEBOSH National General Certificate. I want to change the screen in the background because I want to do some writings, but I want to keep it at the same time. So as we are starting with this point, there's some stuff here. Can you all see the screen in the background? It should be saying globally recognized health safety. Are you all seeing it? Very good. Thanks for the feedback there, Kimberly. It started to rain here now too. So, on top of the voice, you all don't hear the rain because Zoom has a filter. So Zoom filters on the rain, but the presenter, like it's a kind of trick on human senses, and we are often prone to increase the voice tone now because you're hearing the rain in the background, right? So if you see me shouting to the top of my voice, I'll try not to because I have to remember that Zoom doesn't pick up the rain. It just filters out the background noise, right? So I'll try to talk normal as much as I wouldn't be able to hear myself, I guess at the same time, right? All right, I'll start at the beginning, right? So I am Mr. Samuel Shadrach, the head of the course provider for the Shadrach Safety Institute. And who we are, you'll kind of let me know if you all are seeing what I'm doing, right? You'll let me know if your view has changed as well. So we offer health and safety qualifications. Can you all see this? It has gone to awards, certificates. Are you all seeing that? Yeah, diploma, masters, right? So who we are what you call a tertiary level institute operating in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, registered in Trinidad and Tobago, we really operate through the Caribbean and South America. And what we do health and safety courses, really not one, but all that you see in here, right? And what you see in here, if you'll consider this is not all, right? This is not all. If you want to know what I mean by that, like they have plenty awards that if I go down with the screen, you'll see it have more than one. I guess I have to take off the marker just now. If I go down, you'll see it have more than one award. Like it have more than one award qualification. Look how much it have. And it have more than one certificate. And it have more than one diploma. And it have more than one masters, right? It have actually 6 available masters. It have 3 masters program here and 3 masters program here. If I click it, you'll see. You just have to tell me if you're seeing it. You see 1, 2, 3. You see three bullet points. Those of us who can see it. Did it change for you all as well? Yeah? Give me a feedback. Yes, no, yes, no. Okay, good. Okay, so what you all have decided to do, thanks for the little chat anyway, right? What you all have decided to do is what we refer to as, sorry, I think I clicked the wrong thing here, right? What you all have decided to do is what we call the main NEBOSH course, which is this course up here, right? In fact, that is the flagship of the NEBOSH organization. That is their #1 qualification, and we didn't have to make it #1. Nobody did. It was #1 all by itself, and this is the qualification here that would make you then into a health and safety advisor worldwide, right? This makes you into like a safety, you'll be qualified then to apply for safety jobs worldwide. I think many of you all have asked what to do when you all are finished. Well, we go straight up, as I mentioned there. And in the region, there's no other entity like that. There's no other entity that does the NEBOSH courses then from the beginner's level to the master's degree. Now, there's one other entity that does something similar to that, which is SBCS, those of us in Trinidad and Tobago. SBCS. But the brand they offer, so they go straight up as well. They go straight up to a master's degree as well, right? The brand they offer is not NEBOSH, right? The brand they offer is the University of Greenwich, right? And so in the region, then there's just two entities. You have SBCS and you have Shadrach. The difference though is that SBCS go with the Greenwich brand. We go with the NEBOSH brand throughout the qualifications anyway, right? If you want, please take that down. So that's simply who we are. We have been around for the last decade and more. It'll be 15 years next year, but I like to say decade. So, it's like you all don't think we're that old now, right? But we have been around for the last decade is kind of fair. Decade is 10 years, right? But I've been around a little bit longer than that. Tell me, well, when you all finish off with this, I want to show you something else here. I could stick with this a bit. I'll clean it because I have to talk about something else, right? But for now, as we are looking at this, we could mention some stuff here, right? So, as I did say there, if I could go up, maybe you can see it. Let me see if I can go up with this, right? So your NEBOSH qualifications, no, I guess I have to go back, right? The NEBOSH qualifications are globally recognized, right? The certificates are good for life. I think if I go back, you may be able to see that, right? So our range of qualifications, I think was up there somewhere, right? So globally recognized health and safety and environmental qualification. They are accredited in the UK. They do not expire. And I'll tell you something else about them, but I need to clean that little thing that I drew in here, right? Some of you all can see this, and I'll clean that from there. And keep it in mind if you all have written down yours, because it's something for you to write on top of that. But I can't fit it because you can have written here. So I might as well start on top here if there's anything, right? Right. So the question is often asked then, well, then why NEBOSH? Why have you all decided to do this? Was it just something you saw on Facebook? Was it just something you heard about? Why NEBOSH? Did you all check it out? Did you all check out accreditation? Did you all check it out, right? Why NEBOSH in the first place, right? Why not? And those of us in Trinidad may understand this a bit. Of course, those in Guyana as well. Guyana, we have the University of Guyana, and you also have School of Nations in Guyana. You also have the New Guyana School, right? And so why not just go to the University of Guyana and do a safety course? Why not just go to UTT or those of us in Trinidad or Cipriani or UE? UE have I think they had, I used to teach it for them, a safety certificate. Why not do that? What have you all heard about NEBOSH then, right? Other than you want to do a safety course. Anybody could say why NEBOSH? I'll give you the answer too, but I want to hear why you are or what you thought about it in the first place. Why NEBOSH? Anybody? I have your register here. So plus your name will show on screen. Why NEBOSH? Why not UTT? Why not Costard? Why not Cipriani? Why those of us in Trinidad and those in Guyana is like saying why not just go to the University of Guyana and do a safety course? Because they have a safety department. The University of Guyana have a big safety department. Why NEBOSH? Anybody?
I
Go ahead.
From my research, it's the most accredited program with the health and safety field. And if you are wavering your options of probably migrating, it's something that you could carry with you as well. So that
Yeah.
was it for me. And from what I researched, it's like you could use it anywhere you go, basically.
Very good. Well said. Anybody else? Why NEBOSH? One more person. So that I mean that was perfectly said. That was perfectly said, right? Somebody said I heard that they were the best consistency in terms of accreditation. They have been around long. To be honest, NEBOSH have been around more than 40 years now, right? Not me and NEBOSH. NEBOSH is somewhere in England. I'll tell you all about that just now. It's in Leicester in England. I'll tell you that. That's why I have these points here, right? One more person. Why NEBOSH? So I mean, I had three answers, and that was good, right? So I think the simplest way to say it, this is the simplest way because there's like a harder way, right? But the simplest way to say it is that NEBOSH is the number one rank qualification then in health and safety. Like they have that market, right? So they have the market. Now we didn't create the market. I'll give you some examples of this just now. So NEBOSH is your number one ranked course worldwide. Like in the field of safety, like NEBOSH is it, right? It doesn't have another number one. It cannot have two number one, right? So NEBOSH is a number one ranked brand in safety, right? So the thing is like are there other safety courses? Yes, right? But there's always going to be like a top one then or a top brand, right? And to explain this to you, I think a good way to think about it is like some of the products that you all use, right? Yeah, some of the products that you use at home, right? So like everything you use at home to have a brand, right? And if it's, I mean, things like you put on clothes, shoes, right? There's a brand. But even some of the products that you buy, right? What's the most popular brand of toothpaste that you all use? What's the most popular brand? In
Colgate.
Trinidad, right? Colgate. So like a lot of people, like when you go into the like to the supermarket, or what's the most popular, like I try not to say it, right? But like what's the most popular soft drink if you have it, like fast food. Yeah, there are other things out there. You have RC Cola and you have Fanta. But the thing is like nothing, hits the spot then, like a Coca-Cola, right? So is there Pepsi? Yeah, there's a Pepsi. But like Pepsi is not cutting it. I think the same thing goes, if you look at the world of fast food. If you're feeling to eat some fast food pizza, whatever, there's always that number one brand. And it's like, if you got the number two brand, you probably still didn't feel like you eat pizza then. You're still feeling for that, well, whatever you call the number one brand, right? And what I'm saying, but that's the pizza industry and that's the food and beverage industry. So everything you do that, right, has a number one. And that's what NEBOSH is, right? We didn't create it, we kind of met it. The persons that selling Coke in Trinidad, Coca-Cola or KFC, those who have the franchise in Guyana, Starbucks, right? If you have a rituals, you still feel like you had, a drink unless you get it from Starbucks, right? There's a couple of Starbucks open in Guyana, right? Down at what's the name of the mall? What's the name of that mall? Somebody help me from Guyana.
Amazonia Mall.
No, Amazonia Mall have one, but they want to higher up.
Movie Town?
Not in Providence, not in Providence.
Movie Town.
Yeah. No, not Movie Town, the other mall. What's the name of that one?
Oh, Giftlands Mall.
Giftland Mall. I'm so silly. Yeah, Giftland Mall. There's a big one opening there. So what I'm saying, like, that's the world you live in now. It's like, it have brands. It's like, if you have some money, and you say, okay, you're feeling for something good, it is really Starbucks you're going. You wouldn't stop at the coffee shop on the side of the road, which may have been good. But the brand is what attracted you now, right? And that's what NEBOSH is. So there is nothing like a NEBOSH certificate because your NEBOSH certificates comes from the UK directly, right? So if you want to take a little note of this, NEBOSH is located in a place called Leicestershire. It's LEI. They say Leicester for short, right? So Leicester. And really every sort of county in the UK has been Shireified now. So everything is Shire, Shire. So actually Manchester is actually not Manchester, but Manchester is actually Manchestershire. If you wonder why we're talking about this, well, the reason I'm telling you this is that your paper is coming from there. And your certificate when you pass is also coming from there. It's like saying then that you did really buy a really good product from a good store and they give you a certificate saying that, look, this what you purchase here this is the original product, right? So your certificate is not coming from Shadrach Safety Institute. Your certificate is not coming from Guyana. It's not coming from UTT. It's not coming from UE. It's coming from the UK directly. And when you get it, it's a very good looking certificate, but they have some across there, right? It's a very good looking certificate. There's like a seal on it and whatever have you, the Chancellor of NEBOSH and stuff. So it's a really good certificate. And not that it looks good alone, but remember what we said, it is the brand. And those who have it, you have it for life, right? I guess is it Raquel? Is it that how you pronounce it?
Yes, Rikael.
Okay, yeah, that will have a bit of the cough this morning, so I was struggling, right? So, okay, so Rikael, so like how Rikael said it, folks, I have been around a long time, right? More than 20 years in the business. And right now, I mean, like 20 years of students doing this qualification. Some of them stay in every company in Trinidad and Tobago, and apparently Guyana too has somebody from Shadrach, right? This is not a joke. I was in Guyana a couple months ago. I was standing. This is not a famous hotel. It's not one of the bigger hotels, right? I'm standing outside on the balcony, and people are passing and calling me as if I'm in Trinidad, right? So I just say now, 20 years in the business, students have gotten permanent jobs. I can call Gisby, Atlantic, LNG. Every company you can think of in Trinidad, Exxon in Guyana, have tons of my students. Nabi, tons of my students. Banks. This is Guyana companies now. So just to tell you, right? Tons of my students, right? And don't talk for Trinidad. Somebody told me in every company in Trinidad, 4 out of 5 of them studied here. The truth is, it don't have anybody else to study with, right? So that could be part of the reason. Part of the reason could be that. Now, that wasn't always the case, right? And it's nothing to laugh at. I mean, I'm saying that now in a funny way. But when I started years ago, more than a decade ago, there were other companies. There were other schools then. I don't know if you all know them. Those of us in Trinidad, right? Not I guess the Guyanese folks would know. But they all know, like, have you ever heard of a place called PAL Institute? Because I met them in the business, right? And then there was one called Chess. Anybody ever heard about Chess College? Those of us in Trinidad? They're not around anymore. But what I'm trying to tell you, it wasn't like if I was always the only one, right? But what happened in the pandemic? Well, what about NSAFE? Those of us in Trinidad, NSAFE? Yeah? NSAFE? NSAFE? Okay, yeah? Yeah, okay. So NSAFE, I think, is still around, but they don't go higher than they offer the certificate alone, right? What about ATC? Those of us in Trinidad, ATC just offer one version of the certificate, but they don't offer anything else then. They don't offer the diploma, they don't offer anything else. It's just like one and done, right? So like this morning, right? Just before you all, I started a degree class. 80% of the students was our own students. I did take somebody from SBCS, I took somebody from ATC, but 80% of the degree students are from this school there, right? So like the idea there is that we are the full blown course. And what I was telling you all is that we were not always the only one, but the pandemic kind of did something. So those of us who know, some people passed away. Some schools are talking about passed away. The owner of Chess College around that time decided not to offer NEBOSH anymore, right? So don't feel it was only me. It was always 10 years and 15 years of other schools around. But coming out of the pandemic now, it's kind of only me that is left offering the qualification, right? But I had 10, 15 years of other competitors at the same time, right? Folks, let's take this off. Let's talk a little bit about your qualification. I'm going to switch a bit. Feel free to look at this presentation and look at this particular website. This is a you all to look at. I have done a bit of it, and maybe the following week I can do some as well for you all, right? But I'm going to kind of share the PowerPoint. You can tell me when you all are seeing it. Just tell me when you're seeing the PowerPoint. This, what you're looking at here, because you all have, like you all don't know, this is the front entrance to the folks that actually started NEBOSH. Yes, NEBOSH has been around 40 years, but it was something before NEBOSH. It's something called IOSH, right? If you look through here and you blow this picture up, you'll see IOSH and the letters there. This is a picture I took when I was in the UK of the, and I took others too, but this one has remained in the PowerPoints. I like to kind of start with this, right? That IOSH here is like the parent company of NEBOSH. This is actually the entrance to their facility in Leicester, right? All right, let me tell you some stuff, right? So I hope you'll have your little pens and thing out. So the little recap is NEBOSH is located in Leicester. Your certificate is not from here. Your certificate is globally recognized, etc., 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 right? So what I want to do, I want to start by telling you what NEBOSH stands for, because a lot of people don't know. However, you may want to write it down. I don't know if I could fit all on the side here. I'll say it a couple of times until you get it. And in our next class, I'm going to ask you all to see who remembers, right? So a lot of people say they want to do NEBOSH, we want to do NEBOSH. But from what you saw just now, NEBOSH is not one course, right? So the level 3, I can put that here for you, the level 3 qualifies you to be a safety advisor. This is what qualifies you to be a safety officer then. But around the world, they stop saying officer, they start saying advisor, right? Officer sounds like a police, so a policeman, policewoman, right? So the level 3 qualifies you to be a safety advisor worldwide. You can apply for jobs. I can show you this live if you want. But let me just finish what I'm doing and I'll show you just now. I think I tried to show some jobs on the group chat, but I can show you one live if you want. And all don't have to be done today. I can do some in our next class, right? So you can apply for jobs in Guyana. Guyanese could apply for jobs in Trinidad. We all could apply for jobs in Grenada, right? And you could apply for jobs in England. You could apply for jobs in Canada. You could apply for jobs in Dubai, Qatar. Wherever you want to go, you could apply for jobs, right? The NEBOSH qualification is globally recognized. Now, we do have the level 4, the level 5, but I'm going to skip those and go to the level 6. We do advise if you all finish the level 3, please get into the level 4. But the next big thing then is the degree, which is the NEBOSH diploma, right? So the level 6 qualification is a degree. This is the only center for it. I told you I just started a class prior to you all. 16 persons was in that class, and I have another class of 25, right? Because I think part of the reason is that we are the only provider now, right? Our prices have always been cheap. I don't know if you all checked that out. If you all had called other schools, those of us in Trinidad and even Guyana, right? The School of Nations have not been around as long as me. Those of us in Trinidad, ATC has not been around as long as me. O'Shea's has not been around as long. I actually know when they started. Actually, one of my students was assisting the person who was actually starting O'Shea's. And he told me that, and I said, yeah, fine. I actually advise that. In fact, some of my students, when they finish, they will say, you know, we want to get to become a NEBOSH provider as well. And I say, yeah, good, because remember, one person paddling a boat of safety to change the world then isn't the best. If it have more boats, it's better, right? I'm telling you, and I have 2 students of mine that said they're going to open their own sort of company, but NEBOSH is a bit funny. Like you have to have a company, but you have to have it accredited with the Ministry of Education then. So that's why a lot of people who say they're going to do it, they sometimes don't follow through. And for now, that's what they're saying is like, there's no other entity offering the diploma. There's no other entity offering the level 4, level 5 and stuff in the region. Just me right now, right? But the next big thing I'll tell you is the degree, and this qualifies it to be like a safety manager. So if you want, you could write that down. Could I just put SM? This is what qualifies it to be a safety manager. In my degree class this morning, it had somebody from England. The guy said he was from Kent, but today's the first time I saw them. Right? Like I was saying, y'all, today's the first time I saw us. I know he was from the UK, and he's not the only one. I have another one from the UK, but I can't remember his name at the moment. Right? So to tell you proof that, right, that and you know, it's actually cheaper. I don't know if you know that it's actually cheaper to do these courses outside of England. It's actually more money in the UK, right? We're not the cheapest. Sorry, no, we are the cheapest. No, yeah, we actually are the cheapest on the island right now. We are the cheapest, but we have been around the longest, right? And I was saying, 5 years ago, no, my mistake. 10 years ago, 10 years ago, one of the NEBOSH schools I was in Trinidad just was charging 7,000 TT. I have now increased my fees to 7,000 TT 10 years afterwards. I think for those of us who know, all the other institutions in Trinidad is more expensive. And I'm not too sure why. Because they don't do everything then. You understand? Like, why is the same thing? And the UK is more expensive too, right? I have not seen it fit. I was just telling my degree class that I've not seen it fit to increase the fee that high. And you know what's interesting? We put the books fee inside of it, and the exam fee is inside of your money, right? And I've always done that. 15 years ago, when people were 7,000, I was 5,000. and the book fee and the exam fee was inside of it, right? So it have nothing to do really with the cost of the program to me. For those who know me, you get to know me enough. The other thing is that in terms of ranking, right, we are ranked the highest course provider in the region. That's not something we give ourselves. That's something that we went through an audit with NEBOSH, right? So those of us in the region here, ATC was audited. OSHES was audited. School of Nations was audited. And for the last decade, not 1 year talking about, we are always coming out on top. Now, some of the criteria for that is actually pass mark, the pass grade of your students, right? It cannot be quality alone. It wasn't quality then, right? It wasn't just quality. Part of the reason why we keep coming out on top is the pass rates at this school, right? Now, I can talk about it, or I can show you, right? I was just showing my degree students, right? So I'll show you, can I have the book here still, right? So this is a graduation booklet from 2022 in Birmingham. This is not my book. This is NEBOSH book. I was telling a class that if you notice that there's no Shadrach on this, right? Anybody who attended graduation in 2022 would have gotten a copy of this book, right? And in this booklet, to the back of it, there is a feature on Shadrach Safety Institute here with one of our students who got the highest in the region. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, I'm going to go up a bit. No? Okay, let me go this way. Right? One of the students, and she's one of many. She's one of many who got the highest in the region anyway, right? I have others on my phone that I could show you, but one could prove the point, right? One could prove the point. So we do have a high pass rate, and we do expect certain things from you all to maintain that pass rate. I'll get into that in a couple of minutes anyway, right? Let's go down with this, right? So I was going to tell you all the meanings of the letter NEBOSH. Could you all take it down? So it stands for the national, so N is national. Look at somewhere wrong here, I guess. No, it's not there. I took it off. That was, oh, look at here, sorry. National, right? So NEBOSH is the National Examination Board. The National Examination Board in occupational safety and health. And as I mentioned, there are many NEBOSH qualifications. The most popular is the one that you all are doing. Right? Level 3 is the most popular. Right? Anybody want anything repeated there? Anybody want anything? Okay, my chance to drink some water. Anybody want anything repeated? Okay, let's go down. So, having said all of that, what I said, and sort of rated up NEBOSH and stuff, right? Let's talk about what you have to do a bit, right? So at the end of this course, so we have 5 months. Christmas is going to kind of tie up some stuff a bit. Roughly 5 months, right? And then the exam is afterwards, right? So let's talk about that a bit. So your exam, you have 2 things to do to pass this course, right? 2 things to do to pass the course. A and B. I put 1 and 2, but I had 1 and 2 already. So the first thing is an open book exam. We're going to take a look at one just now as soon as I finish off with this. Right? And what that means, if this is new to you, but please write it in your own words. What that means is that you are free to use your textbooks. You are free to use the course PowerPoints. You are free to use Google. You are free to use more textbooks. You are free to use a library. You could use whatever you want to use, right? So you have, I guess I could take off. Let me take off this some other here because I have some more stuff to say here, right? So you have 24 hours to get the exam done in. It normally starts about 7 a.m. of the day of the exam, which happens to be a Wednesday. All exams are on a Wednesday. So whatever month we finish, exams on a Wednesday, it's a working day. You'd have to take that day off, right? Remember, having rated up NEBOSH now, this is something you have to do. This is not a free certificate, right? You had to earn the certificate. The reason for talking about Leicester was to tell you that's where your paper was going. I wasn't wasting time. All of this had a method to the madness then, right? The reason for talking about the UK, and the student from the UK was to tell her that your paper going to the UK. It's not coming here for market. It's not coming to Barbados. It's not going Grenada or Guyana or vice versa. It's going to the UK for market. It's going up to Leicester, right? So see if you're okay with this so far. So we have 24 hours. So you have like 7 a.m. of one day. But I think the time zone changes. I see after Christmas, January month, I think the difference in time zone for those in the region into England becomes 5 hours instead of right now it's 4 hours ahead. England is 4 hours ahead now, but I think in January it goes up to 5 hours ahead. So a paper may be available 6 a.m. and then you have the whole day and the whole night to finish it and hand it up before 6 a.m. the following day. So it's like Wednesday into Thursday then. That's what 24 hours mean. Not 12 hours, 24. So could you hand up 3 a.m.? Yes. Could you hand up 3 p.m. if you finish? Yes. Could you hand up 5:30 p.m.? Yes. Could you hand up 5:30 a.m.? Yes. My throat real hurting right now. Anybody have any questions? No? No questions? Nobody? All right. So you understand the thing with the open book exam. I'm going to talk about it a bit more. The pass mark is 45. Please take it down. The pass mark is 45 marks. But there's a little catch. Should I say there's a big catch? Pass mark is 45 marks. So if you get 45, you pass. If you get 46, you pass. I'll show you somebody who gets 70 just now. We'll look at somebody's paper just now, right? Of course, you're more than pass. They do have different levels of passes. You have pass, you have credit, and you have distinction. The girl I showed you in the booklet here, the graduation book, I think it was a distinction. I could be wrong, huh? This kind of old. I have to read it. It's 2022 to see. Billy read up didn't have it, but it couldn't be a BA pass because she wouldn't be recognized. If I'd actually in the book, I kind of think in a distinction. There's a space in the book that have the people who got distinctions, right? A distinction, I think, is above over 75. 74 and over, right? So like 75, I think, is a distinction. Does it come on the certificate? Yes, right? If you pass with a credit, it'll come on your certificate, Kimberly, and you will have credit, right? If you know, like you got a distinction, Raquel, it would actually mark on your certificate and distinction, right? So it does come. However, you would soon realize, and I'm not trying to water it up or water it down, the 45 marks is hard to get. You may wonder how. How could 45 marks be hard to get? I'll show you just I want to show you the passive, but let me finish up what I'm doing here, right? The 45 marks is hard to get, right? And I'll show you how in a bit. So just before I leave the 45, right? So is it possible for somebody to fail? Yes. Have people fail this course? Yes. That's just how it is. Everybody is different, right? Can you fail at 44? Yes. If you get 44, that's not a pass. Would they do that? Would they really do that to you? Yes. NEBOSH doesn't really know you, right? If what you have there was 44 and not 45, it's 44 you're going to get. Right? So you understand. That's what I'm saying, having rated up what NEBOSH is number one, whatever, right? There's something we have to do as well. I won't say no because today's orientation, but when we start classes now, right? There's some things you have to do in order to pass. It's not, you see, it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be what it was. It wouldn't be the number one qualification. It is the number one for a reason. You could think back to the things we said, right? Like KFC, Pizza Hut, whatever is number one for a reason. No matter what you do, like, even if you have another fast food fried chicken, it still is not KFC. You're still going to come back for that KFC taste, right? So there's something about these brands that they are good then, like the Starbucks, it's good. Even if somebody's selling coffee by the road or another coffee shop, which is also good, but still there's something about it, right? And that's what NEBOSH is like, there's something about this that you have to perform in order to pass, right? Have people pass? Have we gotten 100% passes? Yes. Right, this morning, the paper I'm going to show you just now was one of my students from 2021. The class that she wasn't got 100%. Since 2021 to now, I haven't seen her. She enrolled in the degree this week here, and of course, I saw her in class this morning. Well, yeah, it was still morning, right? So we take a look at her paper in a bit, right? And so there are classes at 100%, but you have to perform. The strength of the class cannot be based on last month pass rate. You understand what I'm trying to get at? The strength of you being here and you getting that certificate with your name on it have nothing to do with a class that got 94% or another class that got 88% or the two classes that got 100%. It have to do with you, right? It had to do with you. So going forward here, the 45 marks is very easy to get. I'll show you how to get it. It's easy to get. I have to show you how to get it. It's something that you learn, right? But it's not hard to get. But if you don't learn it, then you will not get it, right? You see how simple it is just now, right? Let me just do the other thing because there's a part A and a part B here, right? So the other thing to do to get the NEBOSH certificate is that you have a project to do. Please take notes, please ask questions. Now, hear the good news, right? And I'll tell you the bad news too one time. Well, the bad news, I don't really have a bad news in it, but I'll tell you the bad thing that happens, right? So there's a project to do, and to get the certificate, you have to pass the project and the exam. If you fail one, you're going to have to repeat and do over that one. I just thought of some other good news. Not that this was the good news I was going to talk about, but this class doesn't have any repeaters. So that should tell you something about the last batch. But I know it have batch that have plenty repeaters. This batch, you see you all here today, there's 25 persons here today. I don't think any one of you all are repeaters, which is good. But the last class we had, it meant that nobody had to repeat. But I could remember classes with plenty repeaters. Every batch is different. Every batch is different. And you all are also going to be different. So we'll see what kind of students you all are in the next couple of weeks and months anyway that goes along, right? Anyway, let's get back to the project, right? So listen to the good news. This is the good news I was talking about, right? You don't have to go anywhere. You do not have to go anywhere to get your project done. You don't have to go to Exxon. Those of us in Trinidad, you don't have to go to BP, you don't have to go to Atlantic, you don't have to go Tucker, you don't have to go Damas. Those in Guyana, you don't have to go Schlumberger, you don't have to go Gisby, right? When I was in Guyana, and of course I'm heading back there next week, I'll tell you something about that too as well. I saw a company that I worked for. I thought it was a sister company though. Like I thought, but a lot of Trinidad companies are going Ghana. I thought it was just like another company with the same name, but it wasn't. It was the company I worked for some years ago, a company called IEL. IEL actually closed down in Trinidad, if anybody knows. IEL belonged to the group of companies under Tucker. But IEL actually closed down and opened in Guyana. When I saw it, the sign looked the same way, the letters looked the same way, the colors, I was telling myself that cannot be. Like, it could be a coincidence that they have two companies named IEL now, right? Only when I came back to Trinidad, I do have a brother who used to work in the company as well. He said, yeah, the company opened another, they closed down the Trinidad branch and they head across to IEL. So you don't have to go to IEL, which I think is in Friendship. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just stay home and do your project. Please take a note of that. So you should be writing it down. You can stay home and do your project, right? Let me know when you finish writing that down because that's important. A lot of people think they have to go here. You don't have to go anywhere, right? So here they think they give you a sample of the project. They give you a sample of the project. And you just have to go and do one just like it. In addition to that, what should I put in here for you all? I am going to teach you the project. By the way, the project is already on YouTube. If you all have subscribed to the YouTube channel, the project is already there. But I'm going to teach you it line by line. When you'll get to know me a bit, you'll understand what I mean by that. Paragraph by paragraph. And in addition to that, we check a draft. So I was telling you all, it's all good news. Now, the only thing with the draft though is that we don't keep checking it 100 times. It may give you like 2 reviews or 3 reviews at the most, right? And the other thing with the draft is that, the age of technology with WhatsApp, people WhatsApp a draft 1 a.m. and then message and say, sir, I send you the draft. We have a feedback policy in the school of 7 working days. Please take a note of that. So anything that you send, just to be fair to you and to me, 7 working days. If I am free, I normally do it before the 7 working days, right? But that's a common thing. Somebody will message, okay, Sunday, I sent you a project waiting on feedback. When you check it Saturday night, 2 a.m. in the morning, right? So we have a feedback policy, and this is like 7 working days. Not a lot of people do that. A lot of people understand. I couldn't think of 1 or 2 persons that did that, right? All of our students understand anyway what we talk about a 7-day feedback policy. Most universities are 14 days, but if I see it, I don't let it go. Unless if I training, like a training, 7 to 7 or whatever, and I didn't really have the time, right? Then I wouldn't check it. But what I'm saying is the 7 days normally don't expire before we check it. We check it in a couple of days, but there's still a 7-day policy, just to let you know, right? So you may be wondering now, well, what was the bad thing he was talking about? This all seems fair, doesn't it? Doesn't seem fair to you? 45 marks. You get a sample. It's not if they didn't give you one, they give you one to do one just like it. So it's like the teacher tell you 2 by 2 is 4, and then they say, what is 3 by 3? It's like you have one to watch, right? It's on YouTube. There are tons of it on YouTube. My videos on this particular thing, I think, is the most watched video on the NEBOSH project. Yeah, right? I have one of that video, I think, climbing 6,000 views. That's not too much, but this is not PDD here, right? This is not Puff Daddy controversy, right? This is safety we're talking about, right? So the videos are not that popular. So 6,000 views. 6,000 views is pretty good a safety video, right? So if I lost my train of thought, you started to laugh. I normally say that without laughing, huh? Anyway, so what's the downside? You know what the downside is? You want to hear what the downside is? I want you to take it down. You know what the downside is? Some people don't hand up a draft, right? We give it like a month. I teach the project a month before it's due. And like I teach the project have 4 parts in it. If you want, you can just keep adding to the knowledge that you're writing. And the project have 4 parts in it. So part 1, 2, and I teach it in turn. If you go on YouTube, you'll see it. You'll see part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, right? So like when I teach part 1, I ask the class, and here's the thing, if you have a pen, you can actually do part 1 in class 1 time. Like while I'm teaching it, folks, it's that easy, right? Oh, by the way, you might know what I'm talking about. So here what the project is, right? The project is not no research enough. The project is a table to fill out. You want to take that down for me? I don't have any more space unless if I clear something here. The project is like, could I take something off if you want? Could I take the top off, number 1 off? Could I take number 1 off? Yeah. Just now, I don't think I could clear all. Right. So up here is the project still. I'm still talking about the project, right? Folks, what's something, right? The project is like a table, and you have a left-hand side. This is supposed to be a straight line if you're writing it down, yeah? And you have a right-hand side. I'll say it again, folks. The project that they give you a sample for is like a table, but you have 4 pages of it, right? But it have a left-hand side and it have a right-hand side. What they wanted to put on the right-hand side is just to fill out what they asking you for on the left-hand side. Like what just one, right? Like one of them is the name of your company. If you have more space, could you write that down fully for me? This is the actual thing, other than the template we're using, but the first thing they ask you for the name of the company. And you just put a name here. Right? This is part 1, by the way. This is part 1. Right? So you put a name. Now, does it have to be a real name? No. You could put X on if you want. Nobody already checking. You could put Gisby if you want. You could put Massey if you want. You could put Tucker if you want. You could put Junior Sammy if you want, but Junior Sammy is in both countries anyway. Schlumberger is in both countries as well. Kusals. Kusals is in Guyana. Kusals is in Trinidad, right? You could put a real company, or you could just put your name. You could just put, let me just choose who's on screen, right? I'll try to pronounce it, right? So is it, geez, the voice is not the best. Is it Lyria Stewart? Is it Lyria Stewart?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you could just put your LS Company Limited, right? So that's a teller. When I
Okay.
teach a project, imagine this. Imagine you could do this today, you know? If you all go on the YouTube channel and watch the video, part one is the same thing, you know? Or the only thing different is I using the actual form now, right? But what I'm trying to tell you, so that's the first thing in part one, to put the name of the company. The next thing is to put the location of your company, right? And the location doesn't have to be too specific, right? The location could be 19A West Bank, Demerara, right? The location could be Prince of Wales Street, San Fernando, Trinidad and Tobago. The location could be Lawton Village, Point Fortin. The location could be number 10A, Santa Flora. The location could be Roystonia. The location could be Church Street, Chaguanas. I just make a bad one, right? The location could be Peter Street, Galiota. Folks, how could you get these things wrong? Right? What is the next thing? The next thing is the number of employees. You could just make it up. I hope you all take this video down. I hope when we put it in the group, because this is, imagine today's orientation. I have just taught you the first three things on the project already, you know. Right? So I would put here San Fernando, right? Or just San do anyway, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is after we do this, right? Why would somebody spend so much money? But we know we're cheaper than the other places. And we always were. I never studied that. When you get to know me, you'll know that about me. I was a teacher first and a businessman second. Started teaching at the age of 19. Siparia Senior Sec, if anybody from down on that side. Paliseco Government Secondary, if anybody from down that side? Anybody know where Paliseco Government Secondary is? Paliseco Government Secondary. Anybody know where Siparia Senior Comprehensive is? I taught there. I taught chemistry there. Open Bible High School. Taught all there. I'll tell you some others, right? So I wasn't always in safety, you know, people. Some people just watch me and feel like if I just fall in this chair here, and I am what we are. We are the highest provider. But I didn't start off in safety. When you get to know me, I said, other than being a teacher, I worked with a contractor in Petrotrin. And when I say I worked with a contractor, I did everything that they had to do. Pipe fitting, tank cleaning, cutting grass, clamping line, right? Painting, spray painting, fixing signs. We did everything back in the day. I never thought about safety. That was my career path. But I guess it became that way, right? It became that way for many reasons. I'll share some of that later on anyway, right? Today, for those who don't know, I have 3 degrees, one of which I graduated first in Trinidad and Tobago in, right? That didn't do nothing for me though, right? I still feel though that NEBOSH is what kind of made the difference to me anyway, right? And I'll share about that next time too. So what I'm trying to tell you, right, is anybody can do this project, right? This here was actually the number of workers. You could make up a number, 25. It could be 30 if you want. It could be 10, it could be 15, but it cannot be 1, right? And what I was trying to say is that I came up through the ranks and I earned my spot then, right? We are who we are today. After the academics was Shadrach Safety Institute. By the way, I did work in Massey for some time. I was a safety professional from Massey. All of these things are shared as the class go along, right? But today then, what I'm trying to say is that NEBOSH made a difference to me. It took me from where I describe as from cutting grass to being the head of this school, which is the #1 NEBOSH provider in the region. right? And that is not something, it's like a boxing match. We have to keep it up. Every year we are audited. Mama tell you 10 years. When I was telling you every year, 10 years, I was saying that. But we have to keep it up, right? So it's not like if you get a title and that's 10 years. No, every year we are audited. Right? Every year we are audited. Right? Anyway, tell me what you think about the project. And could you tell me then why is it that if I could work so hard and make a difference, and I have hundreds of students behind me, I showed you one, right? I have students in Atlantic LNG. I told you I have students in Gisby. I tell you I have students in Exxon. I have students in Guyana, students who followed me then, right? Today, these people have students in Desal, let's call a company, Proman. Everybody knows Shadrach. In fact, somebody came in here there. Let me give you a funny story, right? Somebody came in the office today and they said, you are Mr. Shadrach? You are Mr. Shadrach from 20 years ago, they're talking about? So I cannot play that trick on the person. I said, no. I said, no, that's my father. I said, that's my father. You never caught the joke, right? The person said, you cannot be Mr. Shadrach. You looking like if, like in your 20s. So I said, well, yeah, Mr. Shadrach is my father, but that's not really true. Mr. Shadrach is my father. My father is still alive, by the way, but he's retired and he was never into safety, right? He was never into safety. It was just to tell you that what I'm saying is that if I could do what I have done, you all could more than do a project like this, right? What is a bit alarming to me when somebody asks about pass rates is that remember you cannot pass if you don't do the project. But why it is then would somebody not hand up a project, right? And the other thing about me, which I shouldn't say, but you're picking it up already, is that, like I said, this is not, if it was about the money, we would have met our prices the same price as everybody else. And you all know me, you'll know it's not about that for me, right? I mean, not that I care less, to be honest, but my house is paid for. These are things that I didn't get to know. These are things that I built. My house is paid for. My land is paid for. Right? And you know where I came from? I could tell it again. I came from cutting grass. That's where I came from. My father, if anybody, my father is alive. Well, I could go and see him now to feel if it's a story I tell her. The house I grew up in is and was a galvanized house. The walls were galvanized. Not where it is now. I built my own house, right? But my father still living there, right? And we didn't know, right? You hear people talk about the ghetto, but them in concrete house, right? We didn't know. The bed I slept on was a bed my father made out of 2x4. I didn't know. I mean, as a child, you don't know these things. You're growing up, right? He is still alive. The house is still there. It's after Lucero, if anybody knows, a place called Carapal. Anybody ever heard of where Lucero is? Lucero, Trinidad and Tobago, Lucero Beach. You ever hear about Lucero Beach? Those of us in Trinidad? Lucero? Yeah? Come on, man. I must say about Lucero Beach, right? So there's a place called Carapal after Lucero. If you head down to Lucero any day, you just stop on the junction, ask for Shadrach. But it's not me. They'll be talking about my father because my father lived there. Ask to say, yes. Yes. Lyria, you are quite correct. That's where the Venezuelans come through. They come through Lucero. We see them, they come through the boat and we see them running. But we used to see them. I have left there, like I said, more than 20 years now. But my father is alive. And what I'm saying is that I'm trying to say that, the part of studying that, NEBOSH made a big difference to me. You can see that. Look where I'm now, right? And I told you, my house is paid for, my land is paid for. So raising the price of school fee is not my priority right now. It was never my priority anyway. Those who know me know that. Even if when I was looking for land and building, I still put my students first. Anybody who know me know that, right? And I say that to say, there are people who don't hand up a draft. And you know what I do? I wait on them. We call you. We ask you 3 times a day. We calling you. Where is your project? Where is your project? But folks, you understand when you don't hand up your draft, right? Remember, it have to go to England. So if it was never vetted, and we send it to England and it's wrong, you would fail. Therefore, the pass rates in some classes is never 100%. There's always somebody. I hope there's nobody here though, right? In Guyana, I've had 2 classes that got 100%. They listen. For some strange reason, Guyanese listen to me. And I don't know if it's because like Trinidadians are custom, because it's more than 10 years now, 10, 15 years now. But the thing is, if you want to pass, right, why don't listen? The other thing is like, by the way, folks, it's a whole table, right? It has some stuff on the table. Like we will tell students to do and they don't go and do it. You believe that? It have, like we telling you what to do and you're still not doing it. And then we'll tell you, look, hey, you're supposed to put in, like one of the things they have here, folks, is a shift. It's something called shift system. You have to put in a shift, right? So we tell students put in the shift. Plus you have a sample, plus you have the record, and plus this is taught line by line, right? The students don't put in the shift, right? So if you want to pass, if you're going somewhere, you don't know where you're going, and you get a tour guide, just listen to the tour guide now. After the tour finish, you can talk the man bad. But in going and wherever you're going, just listen to the tour guide, right? And this is what this is here. If you want to have your own way, which none of my students do. Actually, I heard one of my diploma students recently saying some things that I felt was kind of strange to come from a diploma student now, right? I wouldn't really say it back here though, right? But, it was something about NEBOSH. It wasn't about me, right? And so there's a weird thing to say about NEBOSH, right? But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that if you want to pass, listen to me. We are here for you. By the way, it's not just me. I have another lecturer. There are other lecturers in other subject areas, right? But this course, though, is me. But we have other persons that, teach on other things. And they could give their opinion on something if I'm looking at your project, right? But we are here for you. And we want you to pass, right? So I kind of stretch on this a bit because this is the number one reason why people are not getting 100% passes. At which time you have to come back and pay the exam fees for these things. It's like 1,500 TT. So it's a bit expensive then, right? So I'm not too sure why people are going that route when we are here to help you, right? In short, if you work with us, you talk to us, you work with us, we will do our best to make sure that you pass, right? We are not doing anybody project for them, but should you hand up something that have something missing, it's our job to say, look, you should have put the shift system. And just listen for a while and just do it, because when you pass and you have this cert in your hand, like every company in Trinidad that have somebody from safety, your life will be better, right? Your life will be better. And if you want to say something bad, then say something bad then, but don't do it when you're in the game. When you're in the game, in other words, and when in Rome, act as the Romans then, right? And you would find us, like I said, there was one student from Atlantic LNG, which is a big ass company in Trinidad. Everybody has hand up and this one, and I waited till the end hour. There's like an hour of the day that we have to submit the projects to NEBOSH. I waited till the last hour, which I normally don't do. Because that's kind of unfair to the other students, isn't it? Who handed up a week before. You know what happened? The girls still in hand up in the hour, It had to go down as an absent. So how could the pass rates be 100%? And this is after she spent $7,000, huh? Not me. I came from less than that, so I know the value of money, right? Okay, folks, I want to share a pass it with you. Could you all tell me any thoughts you have, or did I scare the big Jesus out of you all? Okay, let's take a look at our past people. Tell me when you can see it, and I hope you all are making notes. I would be curious to know what you all wrote down when I was talking. Anybody can say what they wrote down? What did they write down when I was talking? What was interesting to you? Let me ask a question then. Could the project be done at home?
Yes.
Is the project a big set of research you are going to do?
No.
Are you given a sample of the project?
Yes.
Yes. Right? So how could you go wrong? Right? All right, let's talk about the open book exam a bit, right? And then I have something else to tell you. My voice really is hurting, right? But I'm still trying. And today was so weird because it's not one new class we had. I told you we started a new degree. Again, this is September. So we started a new degree today as well. So there was no rest for the voice since 8:30, right? So what I wanted to do, I'm gonna shout a lot of things that you need to write down, right? So tell me when you're ready. I wouldn't write all because it would mark up the screen and I would write some, but I wouldn't write all. Okay, so the first thing to say, you see it here, right? 24 hours you have to do the exam and stuff in, right? But I'll say this in my kind of own way a bit, right? So in a way, please write it down. Your exam is like a CXC comprehension. Please take that down. This is our way of saying it here in the region. Your CXC, not CXC, your exam is like a CXC comprehension, right? Prehension, right? It didn't look like that. Your exam is like a CXC comprehension. It is typically referred to as a case study, right? So we typically call it a case study. But in essence, it is like a CXC comprehension. So if you hear me say case study, your exam is a case study. Now, how long is the case? It's not very long. You see for yourself just now. Mama tell you I can't fit everything, right? The first thing was your exam is like a CXC. I will explain what I mean by that just now. However, they don't really say that. That's my way of saying it. And if you understand that, that is what it is. But because this is tertiary level, we don't really say comprehension, we say case study. All right? All right, next thing. How long is it? It's about 2 pages long, which is not that long. Your case study is about 2 pages long. Right? And your exam has about 8 to 10 questions in it, but commonly 8 questions. Common 8 questions. I have really never, well, no, let me take that back, right? The last time a 10 question came was August 2020. Yes, in the height of the pandemic. But other than that, most question papers may have like 8. Some students lucky, some sittings are lucky, some people get 6 questions. Imagine you get 6 questions to pass the exam. But typically 7, 8, sometimes 9, once 10. August 2020. Would you get past papers? Yes. We have to do some work first, right? So we'll see one today. But we have to do some work first and then we can give it some past papers, right? All right, let me see what I forget to tell you here, right? Okay, so thing. Okay, well, from this, I can show you now the past paper in front of us, right? But you can leave your stuff. I may have to add some things to it, but I would have to erase this because what I'm going to write after this is going to fit up down here. So I might as well start at the top there, right? So let's take a look at one. This one is, can you all see though? Can you all see the paper in the background? It should be saying on screen available for 24 hours, guidance to learners. Are you all seeing that? Okay, very good. Thanks very much, Brian, right? All right. So I could read this for you. Let me read from here. Up here, right? The exam begins with a realistic scenario to set the scene. You will then need to complete a series of tasks based on the scenario, about 8 questions. I said each task will consist of 1 or more questions. It's really one. They don't have too much of parts and parts and parts. You know, some exam, there is question 1, but it's part 1, part 2, part 3. No, most of these questions are straightforward, right? Your response to most of these tasks should wholly or partially draw on relevant information from the scenario. I know we read that, but I have to explain it to you, right? The task will clearly state the extent to which this is required. Just now check with the chats, right? Let me read out this last one. The marks available, sorry about that. The marks available are shown in brackets to the right of each question or part of each question. This will help guide you to the amount of information required in your response. In general, 1 mark is given for each correct technical point that is clearly demonstrated. Avoid writing too little. I'll explain all of this in a bit. So what is too little then, right? So avoid writing too little, as this would make it difficult for the examiner to award marks. Single word answers or lists are unlikely to gain the marks, as this would not normally be enough to show an understanding or a connection with the scenario. Okay, let's go down and look at it first, and then I'll come back and write what I wanted to write, right? So, and I'll explain some of the things we need to explain. Let's check with the chat a bit and see. Vidika, right? Vidika Humphrey. In a way, no. It's not really an essay. I'll explain it just now to show you. It's not essay type questions at all. But I come into that. Let's take a look at the questions first, right? If you want me to answer the question without going down, the whole class could take this down, but I was going to explain that just now, but I wanted to see the question first now, right? The form of writing that you're doing here is not essay writing. It's actually easier. It's actually point form. You can take that out. It's actually point form. But the point have a length. If you want me to say it one time, it's about 3 lines or 1 point. But the style of writing here, the style of exam is not essay type, it's actually point form. We will see one now. I'll open generally paper for, I have a student paper to show you, right? Let's kind of go down with this a bit, right? And kind of look at it. So this is a typical paper. Just take a read of this with me. You are not expected to write more than 3,000 words in total. Right? Just watch me a bit when you finish. I guess when you finish. Right? Watch me a bit. That is actually not true. You have to write more than 3,000 words. They did not say write more than 3,000 words. They didn't say not to do it either. Right? If you want to pass this exam, you have to write more than 3,000 words. Please write that down. In other words, then, what you need to take down is that there's no penalty. You could cross the word count. And in fact, you have to. You have to cross the word count. Right? No one is checking. So 3,000 and over. How much over? Not too much. 3.5, 3.4. But you'll end up crossing the word count anyway. The reason is that they say don't write 1-word answers anyway. So you have to cross the word count. Please take a note of that. I think NEBOSH should update this. But again, I am not NEBOSH. I tell you, I'm not KFC. If I sell in KFC, that doesn't make me Colonel Sanders. Right? So if you want to change the recipe, that had to be done from the home base. I just sell in KFC. Right? So same thing here. We just teach it NEBOSH, right? But if your word count is less than 3,000 words, you mightn't pass. The reason is it just said it on top here, but I have to change the marker to go up. If you also, so did you remember reading it that they say single word answers wouldn't get any marks, right? So when you write this, folks, please take it down. You'll find your exam come up to 3,300. Is that okay? Yes. Would you be penalized? No. Would you get a higher mark? Yes. 3,500, 4,000. Yes. Even better. 4,500 may be too much. 5,000 may be too much. 3.5 is really decent. 3.5 is a good figure. Right? Everybody clear on that? So nobody would be questioning in this semester. You see, you had to write things down, people. That's I told you, you had to get a notebook. I had a class that wrote an exam in September. They messaging, can we cross the 3,000 words? And I said, but we did this in orientation. The thing is, we do it in every homework class too. We just talk about it. It's not one passage, but we do in the whole semester. Right? Any questions on that, anybody? Anyway, let me try to go down with this thing, right? Before the orientation finish today. All right, so this is 1 page. 1 page. Watch it, 1 page. That's the end of the page there. This is the 2nd page. So we said a case study is not over long. It's about 2 pages long. This is December 2021 paper, right? Let's look at some of the questions. The duties of the employer, right? I'll teach you this, of course, as we get into the course. Health and safety culture, 15 marks. Financial arguments to improve health and safety, 10 marks. 10 marks. 10 marks. 45 is what you want. But I mean, you want more than 45, but you know what I mean, right? This one have 8 questions. Someone have 7. Some lucky students get 6. Some unlucky people get 9. There was only one question paper with 10 questions, right? So I want to show you how to do one. You might wonder, well, what craziness are we doing because we haven't taught anything? You don't need to. You don't need to. Very good. Is it Darren? Is it how you pronounce the name, Darren?
Yeah, that's correct. They're
Okay,
on.
so Darren, very good, yes. So Darren have in the chat, right? So basically all the answers to the question will be found within the passage. Yeah. Don't know other way to say it, right? I would say though that some of them could still be found on Google. And I would say that some of them will still be found in your textbook and the course notes. But the majority of them, you have to get them from the passage, which is why number 1 is important. Number 1 here says the exam is like a what? Exam is like a?
Like a comprehensive
Right.
CXC.
Yeah, if you remember reading comprehensions in CXC, I just make it up something. I can't really remember. But let us say, they say Boyo and John, went to the market. Boyo picked up, the vegetables. Jack or John picked up, the meats, right? And then a question is, who went to the market? Name the 2 boys that went to the market, right? Boyo and John. So now you can Google that if you want, because maybe, I just say now that maybe there is a similar passage on Google, a similar comprehension from Beppo Tate or something. Those of us in the region may understand those kind of books anyway, right? And Google can probably bring it up. But the thing is, if you had the passage in front of you, right? You understand, folks, you understand there's a trick being played here. I wonder if you catch the trick. I wonder if you understand it. There's a trick or treat. There's a trick being played here by NEBOSH. You all seen it? The trick is an open book exam. But guess what? Tell me what? It is an open book exam, but what's the trick? The trick is the book and the notes. Watch this question I have here now. Watch this question. If you read this question in the background here, right? The trick is an open book exam. But could the book really help you? That's the trick. The trick is probably the book is not a help at all. You understand that, folks?
But
So
from
who's the
experience, to me, I think most open book exams is actually more difficult
There's more
because it's
thinking.
like a
Yeah,
tricking, yeah, more thinking. Then you're
yeah,
looking to see where you get any answer. But then again, if you actually read what's in front of you, most of the times, majority of the answer is right in front of you. So it's
yeah,
like they tell you
yeah.
open book so that you divert, but the answer is right there.
Yeah, very good, right? So what I'm trying to say, and I guess I said it is that this exam is not where you could open the book then to page 7 and then you just copy over the answer. This is not like that. That's the trick. The trick is saying open book exam, but in a way, the exam is very easy because it's a comprehension. Let's take a look at this question here, right? Now, before I go up to the case study, I had something else to write for you. So can I write it for you first? And then we'll use this question as an example of how to answer a question. If you want, well, in fact, no. Let me write it first. I will show you the student paper and I will probably come back and try to do one. Right? We have about 10 minutes again. Let's see how fast we can get that done, right? So you may need to write a bit fast with me, right? We're gonna clean that slide there. So here's the thing, right? Every answer, right? And I would just say what I want to say, right? So just try to take that down. So a question that is worth 15 marks would have to have 15 answers. And I did mention point form. So you could write it down as 1. I'll just space it out, right? 2. And of course, we'll go straight to 15, right? But the reason for spacing it out is because I want to give you 2 answers now, right? So You understand? It will be like you would have had their number one, you'd have had number two, you'd have had a question that is worth 15 marks have to get 15 answers, which is why we said 0.4. It's not essay. You're not writing a whole page like this, like that then. It's not that. A question that is worth 10 marks would have to have 10 answers in point form, like what you're seeing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Could I ask a funny question? How much points you'll have to write in for a 20-mark question? How much are they write for a 20-mark question?
20 points.
20.
20 points. 20 points, yeah. And if you wonder, this is the answer to what would take a student so long. What taking you so long to do this exam? People does ask, right? What taking you whole day to do this exam? It's because they ask you for 15 answers. You see, if they ask you for just 2 negative things, they could get that. But if they ask you for 15, what you have to do, you have to go into that passage with a fine-tooth comb. You all ever heard the story of Rumpelstiltskin? By the way, I know this is kind of out of place. Ever heard the story of Rumpelstiltskin? It's a British fairy tale. You all know the character that had, there was a character that took straw and made it into gold. Rumpelstiltskin, and then I guess the girl had to guess his name and whatever have you. You see it a lot on Shrek if you look at the movies and on Shrek, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's on Shrek, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is like you are like a Rumpelstiltskin. You may wonder, what am I talking about? You have to go up in this passage here, and you have to find 15 negative things on 2 pages, right? You may wonder, no, you will say it's easy. It's not easy. You had to really look for them. Like Rumpelstiltskin, you had to take these straw and make it into gold. Folks, again, here's something, right? If the question is worth 15 marks, and you put 2 answers, you'll get 2 marks. I could tell you a story for somebody in Guyana. I'll call her name so that you know it's a real person. The girl name was Priscilla. Every time Priscilla writes an exam, she failed it. She only getting 30. Remember the paper? We don't see your paper, right? Your paper's on a platform, I don't know if you know that. And you send it back to the UK. When I looked at her paper and when I asked her for a copy of it, you know what she was doing? She was like putting short answers. When I say short, like if something was worth 10 marks, she was putting 3. No wonder she didn't get 30 marks. Because if you put 3, is only 3 marks you'll get 3 out of 15. So what takes long is that you have to go and look for these things and you have to get your 15, right? Okay, folks, I was going to tell you. So every answer, watch this up. This is what I wanted to write for you. Every answer, look at that, an hour and a half gone and I'm still talking, right? I still have so much more to say. Anyway, I'll bring it down here because this is where I thought we would have ended anyway, right? So every answer must have like your opinion. Like you must say like number 2 there, you have to say like in my opinion, right? A negative indicator of health and safety culture indicator the bakery is. Every one of your points starting off with that same thing. Yes, and it's kind of boring to say in my opinion, in my opinion. You can change it up if you want. By the time you reach number 5, if you want, you could say in my view, it is my belief. Nothing wrong with saying in my opinion, right? And what you have to do, you have to give the answer, like what was negative. So every point then have an answer, but catch something here. What something else here? Watch this, right? You should support your answer where applicable using relevant information from the scenario. So what that means is that you have to go and give the supporting lines. You'll have to find a tie-in back into the scenario. This is lines, L-I-N-E-S, right? Only if you have these 2 things, you will get the 1 mark that is available. And then you do it another time, and you get the other mark. And you do it another time, and you get the other mark. And you do it 15 times, and you get 15 marks. Let's take a look at Janelli paper that one of the students was telling you, right? Hope I have it on the view screen. What I'm zoomed as yes, I have it, right? Let's take a look at the student. Tell me when you can see it. You'll see Janelli Lewis, 00652742. Yeah, tell me when you're seeing that.
Yes.
Answer the feedback. Folks, it's not rocket science enough, but it's something you have to do. Watch how long her answers was, right? By the way, I don't think this is the same paper, eh? But watch the answers now, right? There could be a comparative question. Safety culture is always popular, right? Let's we can find a safety culture here, right? There must be a safety culture question. Yeah, NEBOSH have some trends, right? So there would be a safety culture question there. So look at here, right? Like the one we're looking at was negative, and this one is also negative. Listen to the answer. First of all, right, watch and see how hard this is. This can't be hard. This question, whatever it was, number 7, was worth, I guess was worth, like it was a 15-mark question. Wait, no, it look like a 20-mark they asked. What? 20 negative things. You understand how she have 20 answers? It's not essay type, it's point form, right? So whatever this one was, it was, well, not whatever it was a culture question, but it looked like it was a 20-mark question. Therefore, she have 20 answers. But watch how long it is. What I'm trying to tell you, not very long. It will have the answer and then it have a tie in. Watch what she said, right? A negative indicator of health and safety culture is a lack of trained staff. And then you see the tie in, which is evident with a very short induction given to the apprentice when he was employed. You cannot tell me that's hard to do. There are two things there. The answer, which is a lack of training, and then it have a tie-in, a very short induction. That is the secret to passing a NEBOSH exam. By the way, folks, we don't come back to this. Today's orientation, we don't really come back to this. When I start teaching, I would expect you to know these things by then. Let's take a look at the 10th one, and then we'll take a look at the last one, right? So the 10th answer, a negative indicator of health and safety culture is a lack of involvement by management. So that's the answer. And then the tie-in, as the MD is somewhat detached from day-to-day operations because of attendance at various off-site exhibitions. So that's the tie-in. Let's read the last one. Because she have the 20. 20th answer, a negative indicator of health and safety culture is no compliance to safety regulations. So that's the answer. That's what's negative. And then the tie-in, right? Which is evident when the sales supervisor stated that there was no need for frequent fire drills. Now, where she's getting that from? Where is she getting this from? This is from the tie-in to what? The tie-in to the
case study, to the
very
The
good.
scenario.
passage. The case
Right,
study
very good.
passage.
The passage, whatever you want to go, the passage, case study, comprehension, right? And look, she even have a quote. The compliance obligation to inform, check, learn, and improve through safety drills. So that's something she quoting from the passage, right? So generally got the highest, I told you all. She's not the same girl on the thing here. This one and the thing here, this one is Shanaz. So it's not the same person we're talking about. This is another student who got the highest in the region here, right? What's her word count?
Yes. I have a
3,800.
question when you get a chance,
Sure.
please.
Let me finish this answer. 3,829. Was she penalized? No. Was she rewarded? Yes. She got the highest mark. Are these lines ridiculously long? There's a question asking you all. Are these, if you look at each separate answer, is an answer that long? They're not that long. It's like 2 lines, 3 lines, 2 lines, 3 lines, right? But folks, this does take a lot of time, and that's why it's a 24-hour exam. That's why you don't finish too early there. People finish by 5 o'clock in the evening. Some people finish by 7 o'clock. Then you see what does take time. You know what does take time is looking for the thing. Looking for what is negative. That does take time, right? So that's what I said. When I said exam is a Wednesday, you'll have to take a day off from work. That's what you have to do. If you do anything less, you would fail. Right? Remember, we're not correcting it. I'm not checking your this exam. You log into our platform. I'll give you the link when you pay for exam, which would be the 5th month of the course. You download the paper, you do the exam, and you upload back the paper again. Folks, I have to stop there, right? I think I covered what I wanted to cover. Let me see if there's anything other than, oh, did they, like before I take some questions, some formalities, right? Your sessions will be recorded and put on an online platform. For today, we would probably use YouTube, and I'll send it back to the WhatsApp group, right? If you miss a class, I am okay with that. Just to be honest, I'm okay with that, right? But what I expect you to do is review the video and get back to me. right? Homework is also given once we capture something that have homework in it. I'd expect you to do it by the Thursday of the week that I give you. Please take that down. You can get it done by the Thursday. Could you send it Friday? Yes. Could you send it Saturday? Yes. Would I still check it? Yes. Remember, you're paying your money. I will still check it. Why do I want it on Thursday? I want it on Thursday to kind of gauge the class now. So like if I give an assignment and like 15 of you all do it, I will say, okay, yes. I understand. I understand Elizabeth is working. I understand you couldn't do it for Thursday. Once you do it, I'll correct it, right? But I want to gauge the class. Just give me a minute, huh? The books inside. Yeah. Yeah. So like if I get it by Thursday, I could gauge the class and I could say, okay, you know what? Okay, fine. The class understood law or the class understood safety culture. But you know, if not, then I'll be on your case, right? And again, we cannot physically do you anything. We can ask, you know, where's your assignment? Where's your assignment? Where's your assignment? Right? But I'd want to believe you're spending money. Look at this guy next to me here. If you want to say hi. He's one of my students. He's now working, well, my ex-student. Right? You could just say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, good. Right?
You work?
No, one more.
Okay, hi.
Yeah, you could sign for receiving it here. Look, Stephen right here, right? Stephen company I know.
Huh?
What company working for? Well, Fab, right? When I knew this guy was 2021, he was working in McDonald's, right? What make him where he is today? CXC? What make him where he is today? Another degree? No. NEBOSH. Doesn't make him where, and he's a safety man today, right? Everywhere. You could sign this book there, right? He's actually signing up for another course, NEBOSH Oil and Gas. Maybe when you finish, but in fact, that course is a limited course. It wouldn't be available next year. It finished already, right? Anyway, folks, what I'm trying to tell you is that the gentleman next to me here, right? You can see him, right? He ain't no rocket scientist. If he could have passed, all you could pass, right? If Janelle Lewis could have passed this, all you could pass this too, right? But you had to do the work, right? You had to do the work. It had no free certificate here. If it had a free certificate here, then we can say, well, we're going back to Costa or UE, where they just print it in the office and give you. This is not that, right? All right, folks. Attendance, remember what I tell you, right? I don't mind. The thing is 80%. I know people work from time to time. So 80% is the record of attendance anyway, right? I want it to be in every class because you see how powerful the classes are. Did you all notice that today? Like if you miss a class, you really miss plenty, you know. But things happen. People get married, people get divorced, people, you know, pass away, there's a birth of a child, there's new jobs, there's vacation, whatever have you, right? So, you know, things happen, right? So I understand, nobody will do you nothing, right? The other thing though, let me just mention here briefly, I'm out of time, right? I'm out of time. But I have to say this one. Next week, I am in Guyana. I don't have a class next week. I have a job to do in Guyana. I'm leaving on Thursday. And the work is through the weekend. It's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The contract is on my desk right here, right? So I'm leaving to go Guyana. I do have other, like I said, other things that I do. One of the reasons why I don't charge a lot of money for the courses, unlike the other schools, is that I do things for myself, right? So, you know, we can afford to give you all the course at a bit of a reduced price because there is other income coming into the institute then, right? So please take a note, next week is no classes, right? I have to stop here. I know it's kind of premature, but I really wanted to give you all a chance to ask any question that we have. I in no way believe that you all are fully going to appreciate all of this as yet because there is a project. I should have shown you it, but there's a time for the project. There's a time and place for everything, right? What I wanted to do today was to set the tone that NEBOSH is the #1 brand. That's good. But the other thing is that you have to earn it. Now, you don't have to do rocket science. It's not mathematics we do it. It's not trigonometry we teach it. It's really just 1 or 2 lines. It's like 3 lines. You give an answer, you tie it in. You give an answer, you tie it in. However, please understand what I'm trying to tell you. The tying is going to take some time. It's going to take some time to find those magical golden lines then that would tie into your case study, right? Let me go back to the past paper and I'll just check on the chats, and any questions you have, we'll ask now. Right? Questions, folks? I'll try to get the rule and thing organized. The trick, okay, yeah, Andres have one. Sorry, Elizabeth. Andres have one in the chat, right? So the trick, Andres, the truth is not reading and understanding enough. I don't know if you understand that. You'll see in a bit. You'll see when we start teaching, right? The trick is to find them lines. The trick is to, okay, like when you say, right? When you say a negative indicator of culture in the company is a high accident rate, the trick is to come here, because that's what's taking the time. The trick is to go back here with a pencil in your hand and where they talk about that, because that's the trick. I tell you, it's like Rumpelstiltskin. You have to take straw and make gold. You have to look for this thing and try to find where it is they talk about a high accident rate. What you take? Following the accident, the bakery was closed for 2 weeks. That's not it. Folks, you understand what does take long on the day for the exam? What does take long is finding these magical lines. Okay, yes, Elizabeth. My apologies. Yes, Elizabeth,
No
go ahead.
problem. So, good afternoon,
Afternoon.
Mr. Shadrach. I'm excited to be in this class and I'm looking forward to learning and advancing my career in this. My question is with regards to the paper you just showed us, the example by Janelle Lewis. The question that we looked at, the negative impact. Right before we looked at that, you had mentioned that when we're answering, every point must contain quotes, in my opinion, in my view,
Yeah.
it is my belief. But I noticed Janelle did not start her answers like that. But I think
Yeah.
you kind of answered the question later on when you said she wasn't penalized for that, because that was my question.
No. Well, one of the things is that I think this is 2021 paper we're looking at, which was the pandemic, right? 2020 was total lockdown. So examiners never really kind of, what's the word I'm looking here for, like pressure students to do that. But of late, they have been doing that. They have been saying, like, you could start with my opinion or in my view, right? Because it's really what you're thinking there. But in 2021, I think, like, this was the first batch of students, right? 2020 was pandemic. This may have been the second batch of students under the open book exam. So I think it was still a developing art form then that the earlier students would have done simple things and gotten away. But years into the business now, this is 2024, examiners are asking for different things that they would have asked for in 2021, right? But at the same time, I would want to say she wasn't penalized because, you see, the answers still have the two main things. It have the answer and it have the tie-in. Like the answer here is absence of fire marshal. So then that's what is negative. And then she have the tie-in. So that's what they look for. To give the mark, you must have an answer and you must have the tie-in to the question. Anybody else? You will help me with the names today because I have done your role. I did your registration form as well. But you know, today is the first day sort of pronouncing the names then, right? So you'll help me with that. Folks, as I mentioned to you all, tonight, as we have not set up the full